when Bloodgood was formed, I wasn't in the band. It was JT and Michael, and they were trying to figure it out. They were trying to figure out exactly what to do. Um, Michael definitely had a desire to reach the youth, and he would see. We had all been in different bands, and Michael's seeing all these young people that are just headbanging metalheads, and he goes, nobody's reaching out to these kids. No one. There's no music like that. So he thought, I want to put a metal band together, and share God's good news with them and see where it goes. And so we were actually practicing to some uh, of the mainstream metal, Ronnie James Dio, and we did some other stuff. I can't think of JT. You probably know some of the songs we did better than I do. And but as it evolved, it got to a point where it was decided that we really wanted to write original material. Definitely didn't want to do covers, and we didn't want to do secular covers because it was completely opposed to what we wanted to preach and teach and express. So it didn't. That was not a good fit. So we dumped that pretty quick. But as far as the impact, knowing that the impact it would have, there's no way any of us had that foresight. No way. I know of course, you dream and you hope, and that things are going to work well, but no way. It was just like it. I think it surprised us all over the years, and it kept going. So
Yeah, my only recollection of, if I could say that something fell in my spirit, once we actually formed, and I think it was maybe the first or second time we jammed together. We used to practice at Calvary Fellowship, which is Calvary Chapel in Seattle. Anyway, so we would get together there, and they gave us a platform, a building and a place to practice. But the first few times, I think maybe the first time, and then Les Carlson, Les came in, and then we had a jam, and I heard Les sing. Um, I remember driving home like that night, very first night we all played together, and it was like, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew something was going to happen. I don't know how to describe it. It was like, there's like when you're in a band, it's like, you're kind of trying to reach for a certain sound or a musically cohesive thing going on between all of you as members. And it's like when that happens, that clicks, I mean, it's like, people become the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and so forth and so on. It's like Striper. And it's just when you get the right chemistry together, which is divine, if you ask me, especially when your desire is to glorify God with the music. I think you just kind of almost know, like when you hear it, you're going, this is starting to really be pretty cool. It's like it feels really like I got a lot of peace and about being together, and you like the people you're playing with. I think we all actually really liked each other, which is really cool. And then the music was just, everybody was so creative. I mean, it wouldn't have been anything without us individually being able to express ourselves on our instruments and our voice and so forth. So
yeah, and a side note, JT touched on it. We got to practice at Ingram High School, which is where Calvary was. Um, I don't know if the high school at that point was actually officially condemned. I don't think it was for some reason, but it was not functional anymore. And so Calvary got the church and got the building for the church. So the good news about the rehearsal was we played, in the auditorium on a stage. So it was a huge stage. And so that was the good news. Like, wow, this is the best rehearsal place in the world. Um, of course, the auditorium would seat probably, gosh, maybe I'm thinking maybe 1,500 people, I'm guessing. Um, but the negative was is that we had to tear down and set up every time.
Yeah.
And we were all working like John, JT. I remember one day he came in and something happened. He did something. And he's playing his drums, and it just feels like the side of his neck is getting ripped off because of his, he's doing this kind of playing, it's just ripping his neck off. And it's that kind of moment where JT's thinking, "Am I ever going to be better again? Or am I going to have this for the rest of my life?" Of
Right.
course, it did go well.
Almost like Animal of the Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So, initially, I was on the road personally with a musical production company down in Florida. And when David was still playing in the Crystal City Rockers, and that I was in with David, and we formed that band before Bloodgood and played.
What do you think you're doing? When I look in your eyes, all I see is a face full of beauty and a head full of lies. Like the clothes you wear,
Bloodgood and played all over the Northwest and stuff like that. But I just got off the road. I'd been on the road for a year with a band, that musical production company down in Florida that put rock shows on for kids in high schools. And so I was like fried, and I got back to Seattle. I was like, Mike, I remember Mike coming into the house that me and two other guys lived in, and Mike looked at me, goes, "Hey, JT, great to see you, man. Goes, hey, I'm starting a band. Why don't you play drums for me?" And I looked at Mike. I was like, "Get out of here, man. I never want to see you again." And so anyway, but then Mike and I hung out, and I used to go out to his house and for months and play Beatle records and some metal stuff, Dio and White Snake, and Mike and I went to the White Snake concert and together. So we did we were kind of aimed toward agreeing that the band was gonna that the direction of the band was gonna be metal, because that's what Mike, that's the vision Mike had. So
Yeah.
and then I conned David into joining, because there is no other guitar player I'd want to be in a band with. So
I got to tell you, I really love David's guitar playing. He's, when I put you like in my top one in the Christian genre or all. I really love your guitar playing. It got me wanting to play.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because one of the very first guitar players that ever turned me up, that wanted me to play, was of course Ace Frehley. And then once I got on to you guys, I tell you what, I was just like, wow, because up to that point, I only heard of Striper and Petra. That's the only two, quote unquote Christian bands that I heard of. And I vaguely remember, I had to look it up, because in I think it was 87, I used to get Metal Mania magazines, and you guys was a Metal Mania. You guys had just came out, and they did a write-up talking about how how has it said it? It said Christian metal or Christian rock is invading the devil's landscape or something like that.
Yeah.
And so last night I went to searching, and I found the cover, but I couldn't find the article. But I was able to find the cover. But yeah, I remember reading that, thinking, like, why are these guys even in here? And I never did listen. Like I said, I didn't listen to you guys until 1990. And then throughout the years, I remembered, I was like, oh wow, I saw them in a Metal Mania magazine when I lived out in California, when I was like, I guess 16, 17 years old. And it just flips me out that, just a few years later, I'll be listening to a song called Crucify and the Messiah. And lo and behold, because of that would lead me to the Lord, And you guys, on that first album, let's see here, which I got it right here. I haven't even opened this. It's still sealed. But that was in '86. What was it like doing your first album?
Go ahead, JT.
well, I mean, I think it was real exciting to for things happen kind of fast, and it was like I keep bringing the Beatles up, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think things happen sometimes to certain groups, and you're just kind of basically holding on for dear life. And I think when I heard about the record deal, I wasn't surprised. But you know, as the eagle flies, it wasn't the greatest deal in the world, record deal. I personally, my personal view was at that time that we had the sound and the ability to get signed to a secular record label, like Stryper was signed to Enigma,
Yeah.
and the Stryper was on the same label as Motley Crue. And I always thought that we should hold out and wait for that kind of a deal.
Right.
So Stryper always played when I ended up playing with a lot of these secular bands, and I thought, well, that would have been a great influence for the Lord on some of these guys that were playing in some of these other secular bands. But anyways, yeah, just the record deal itself was not great, but it was real exciting to record, and yeah, that whole experience was interesting and fun, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, our first show was opening up for Stryper. So that was our first show. And we had done a demo tape by that time at a friend of ours by the name of Charles Mesrol, who had a Extrasensory Productions. That was the name of the studio. And ESP. We did this demo. The demo was killer. I mean, in some ways, it's like, I don't know if you've heard the Metal Missionaries demo or not.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, JT, when we did Battle of the Flesh, it was off the charts, man. It was so good. And JT does a fill in there that Mark Welling, who later in Bloodgood, Mark, did a pretty good fill in that area, but it was nothing what JT did. It's like, it was almost like Buddy Rich and Cobham mixed into one on a drum fill. It was like liquid. And it, and I think it even surprised JT. He's like, whoa, what did I just play? And so we did that. And so we had something to sell at the first show with Stryper. And then the second show was with Stryper. Our second show was. And then our third show was with Daryl Mansfield. And Michael gave Daryl the tape. And Daryl took it down to Jimmy Kempner, who was starting a record label called Broken Records, which he had to change the name because Joey from Undercover, that band, he already had that name as copywritten, if you want to call it a copyright, or I think it was a copyright. So he had to literally change it. So when we did sign with Jimmy Kempner, we all signed a record deal with Broken Records. So in some regards, it wasn't really legally binding if you really looked down to it.
Yeah.
Because when it changed to Frontline, Michael Bloodgood signed the addendum. So I didn't sign it, JT didn't sign it, and I don't think Les did either, just Michael. That's all that Jimmy requested. Here's, we're going to change it up, change the name, just, sign here. And so technically speaking, that first signatures and agreement was kind of void at that point. So, but it's not like we're going to, oh, well, we can leave if we want. We didn't want to leave. I mean, but it was not a good, as JT stated, it wasn't a great deal.
Yeah.
The point spread was ridiculous. And I think it was even on the wholesale. It wasn't even on the retail. So it's just, any way you look at it, it's just not a good deal. But we did get to do some great work, and it got out there. Jimmy sold a lot of records, and Jimmy cut a deal with Benson for the distribution, and he got paid on, get a load of this. Only Jimmy could probably do this. I mean, I'm sure it's been done before, but it's not your typical boilerplate. But he got paid on records manufactured, not
Really?
Yeah. So he manufactures a ton of them, and Benson says, okay, and they just paid for all of it. So Jimmy's making, some pretty great bank. But the first record sold 60,000 out of the chute, and then Detonation did 80. And I don't know where it's at now and all that stuff, but So it definitely made a pretty. I mean, that's pretty good for back in those days, you know.
Oh yeah. I'm really, throughout the years with all the reissues, especially of the first two albums. Is there any payback of that to you guys?
Yeah, I think. JT, have you ever received a royalty check from Adele?
I did about $10. No,
Yeah,
I'm
it's, always,
just
it's pretty small, right?
um yeah, I've got I've got a few bucks, yeah.
You know, really small, but yeah, she bought out the catalog for Frontline, but it was Buddy Killen that had bought it first. So I went Jimmy Kempner, Buddy Killen, and then Buddy Killen died, and the estate sold that portfolio, if you want to call it that, of all the artists, all of them in Frontline to Adele, and she still manages that today.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's one of the longest running. Frontline's one of the longest running record labels as far as putting out Christian metal, right?
Yeah. I'm smelling a fart here, and there's nobody.
Yeah.
I'm looking for my dog or something.
What?
Like, what's going on, man?
You might have to edit that out, Steve.
No, keep it in. Make it fun, you know.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
It wasn't
I'll leave
me.
it in.
hey, when you get around musicians, man, you know, you got to hear,
never
you
know.
get to hear everything,
You
man.
never know what you're going to get.
It never is.
Oh, Killing the Beast. JT, the drumming on Killing the Beast. Did that kill you?
That was whipping. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, Killing the Beast, that was one of my favorite songs. Um, I just, for a drummer, there's no other music that is as fun to play as a drummer to me than metal and the fast stuff,
Yeah.
because you're getting to pound the drums as hard as you possibly can, and it's just fun. And as long as you're in fairly good shape, which I was at that time, just from my working life. I had a physical job, so it kept me in pretty good shape for a day job. But when the band first started, yeah, man, that Killing the Beast, it was like that was the stuff, man. I loved it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Those drums on that just, oh my gosh. And Black Snake.
Black Snake, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
a friend of mine here where I live in Myrtle Beach is Perry Richardson. He's bass player for Stryper,
oh okay.
and I played Killing the Beast and Black Snake for Perry. He was like, "Oh yeah," like, "Yeah, that's the stuff, man, right there." Yeah.
Hey,
So
when in the day and you hear those, especially for me, those two songs right there and that drum pattern, that beat, just my God. Put it on some loudspeakers. I tell you what, you came up with some stuff that I seriously don't think that there's certain drummers that have a certain feel that
mm,
yes, certain people can try to copy it and they can play various, or they could try to get it dead on, but I seriously believe,
as
especially
far as hitting the drums, I hit the drums pretty hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Um,
know, yeah,
you know,
I think you guys are about the same as far as impact goes.
yeah,
Style, you guys are different,
yeah.
but you
mm,
guys both pound the drums pretty. You pound them, man.
I tell you, I've seen live footage of you guys back in the day, and I tell you, watch you guys play the drums, it's unreal.
mm.
You know,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I think we all did You know, I played, to be honest with you, I played totally like the drums. I played totally off of what David was playing.
Yeah.
Because I was stimulated, a lot. The drumming style was in relation to the correlation of or the dynamic between the guitar and the drums. I mean, I could, if I were going to lay down basic tracks, I could go in the studio with just David without even a bass player, and we could lay down basic tracks, and I think it would sound pretty dang good. But um, I never is I know you do bass and drums at the same time when you're doing basic tracks initially, and then everything's layered on top of that. But for me, I mean, if I didn't have David, playing along with the basic track with
Yeah.
like when Mike and I were laying stuff down, it wouldn't have sounded the same. I don't think,
Right.
it's just I kind of fed off it. I'd played with David for a couple of years before Bloodgood, and so I was used to hearing his guitar, so it kind of melted in. It made me feel more comfortable, I guess, laying the basic tracks down,
JT, what was the drum kit that you did on the record? What kit was that?
That was a Yamaha kit. It had concert toms. The concert toms had like a head on top, but no head on the bottom.
Yeah.
And all the mounted tom toms didn't have bottom heads on them. And only the floor toms. I had 2 floor toms, and only the floor toms were double headed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and both kick drums both had front heads on them, and the porthole cut in the front, on the double kicks. So yeah,
Okay.
Did that help with a unique sound?
I think it all matters, you know. But and that's what I think. That's Steve. That's where you get everybody's style. It's like David playing whatever guitar he plays. He
Yeah.
has a different tone or getting different effects. Um, he played on we did a new Crystal City. And man, that guitar just
You there, David?
not as diverse. When you get the drums tuned up and it's on your market set go, the drums are going to sound like whatever drums you have to play. That's it, unless you switch out a snare or something like that. That's about it. You know. So
David, what gear did you use?
Well, when we first started, I was using a lab series amp, and then I had a Fender like a really hot rodded Fender, and I just ran them stereo. But that changed pretty quick because that wasn't going to work in a metal band. So eventually, I got to where I was playing through a Randall. I liked the Randall; it sounded good. In hindsight, now I think I should have been. It's kind of funny. I recently, when I say recently, within the last 3 years, I got this really cool Marshall combo, and I remember telling someone, "Yeah, it's the first Marshall I've ever had." They go, "You've never owned it? You've been in a metal band all this time. You never owned a Marshall?" I'm like, "No, I actually didn't." And I even had Galen Krugers or Solid State Randalls, and those things sound good. But they're in hindsight, I think if I would have had a Marshall, I think I would have been a little happier. But back in those days, everyone was just taking all the mid range, including me, and just scooping it out. It's like you couldn't get rid of enough of it. I had to just scoop it out. So you had low end, and you had top end, just this big smiley face. And then Striper even went further. They got like Furman. Um, their sound, that kind of sandpapery sound, if you want to call it that, was this. Um, it's an EQ, but it's a parametric. I was gonna say graphic, but no, it's a parametric EQ, and they dip stuff out even more with tight cues, and it got that kind of sound, which is cool. We certainly weren't going for that sound. We didn't want to sound like anybody, and so yeah. And then guitar wise, I had a makeshift Strat, kind of a mutt that was put together, and then that evolved towards more warm off parts and stuff like that. We never really got some of the cool things that you would probably, like JT was pointing out, if we were on a secular label, we probably would have got some endorsements from like Jackson and all that stuff, because everyone's playing Jacksons and
Yeah.
all on those guitars. And my guitar looked Jackson-esque, if you will. One of them looked like Hendrix with the upside down headstock. So we're breaking the rules, I guess, and maybe that's part of why we sounded unique, because we don't sound like anybody. I don't think we do.
No, you don't. It's it's I could. One of the things that really was Les's voice.
Yeah.
There's no other singer like him at all.
No.
As soon as you hear it, you know who it is.
Mhm.
You know, just like if you really listen to guitar players and drummers, you can hear a certain style in their play,
Yeah.
and you know who it is. You
Mhm.
know, and I think especially for that first album, there's a certain style, a certain blend, I should say, that you
Hmm.
guys had on that first album. I think that's why it resonated so much, even though the metal scene in that time was big, it was huge,
Yeah.
but you guys did something that I think that can't be matched, especially with that first album. You know, and David, you did some solo stuff after you left Bloodgood, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did 4 solo records for Frontline.
JT, did you do anything?
No, not really. I did studio work with various people in Seattle after that, and then David moved to Nashville first, and then I moved there about a couple of years after they did. And then I did studio work there. But that's pretty much it. And then I did a lot of worship, played in a lot of worship bands, in particular in Nashville, with some really great musicians that that Nashville's full of them.
Right.
A
Yeah.
lot of great players, man, and great singers, and it's anyway. So no, yeah, I just pretty much did the worship thing and just some recording and all that, and then all the way up until, like I say, about 4.5 years ago when we did the Crystal City Rockers project, and gosh, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah,
And
that's
all
cool.
just did like I said, I think I said just before or while we were in the middle of that project, it was like, this is crazy. Like in the middle of COVID, like we're all in different cities and recording, and David like was just like mad scientist and putting it all together, pouring all the chemicals in all the beakers, and then coming up with all the magic, and putting it all together. It just it was like I said, we're gonna look back on this and go, oh my God, I can't believe we did that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Is
It
that
was a big undertaking. It really was.
is that available
yeah,
still?
yeah, through Girder Records.
See, I thought I seen it on their website.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah,
didn't know if
yeah,
it was still available or not. There's
yeah. Greg Hayes.
a lot of that stuff
Mhm.
they just make a certain amount of, and
Mhm.
once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Do you guys still feel that say how can I put this? Like you said, JT, you touched on it about being in different states and able to come together and make music. Do you think that even though there's really been financial strain on all bands, even Christian bands, especially Christian bands, that you guys put out a lot of stuff well under the Bloodgood name, I should say, and David with your solo stuff. Um, do you find that have you ever got to a point where you're like, this is just not financially feasible anymore? Did you ever think anything about it like that, or are you just like that's not your main thought process behind it?
Or Dave,
What's that, JT?
I say go for it. Yeah, I
Oh,
just say I'll give you my 60-second. There's a lot of fame, no fortune. That's all I could say.
Yeah,
Like now, like with all the platforms, and like Vince Gill recently said, he can put a song out on Spotify or all the platforms, and he makes 99 cents for a download, whatever. And then you can put an album out of fart sounds, and
yeah,
make 99 cents, you know. So it's like, you know, uh it's like what so all these bands have to go out and tour. That's why you're seeing like, all these relic bands in the last couple of years coming back, out of the woodwork because they're not making any money from royalties anymore.
yeah.
And they have to tour now to make money. So anyway.
yeah. Yeah, the industry as a whole has taken massive turns, and um, is speaking as a record producer. A lot of my colleagues, um, they they don't produce records anymore. They moved on. Engineers have stopped engineering. They've moved on. Not all of them, but a lot of them. A lot.
Yeah.
And that's because music's free. You know, you have to suffer through maybe a commercial on YouTube or Spotify or Pandora or whatever, Apple. But you can listen to anything you want, anything.
Yeah.
Steely Dan, you know, there's everything's out there, and it's free. So that being the case, and by the way, and so the streaming is point zero, I think it's 0.002 of 1 penny. It might be 0.02 of 1 penny. In other words, it's like nothing. You know, a friend of mine wrote it, produced a girl, and this is a long time ago, and he wrote the song. It was a huge song. It was the #1 song in the country, secular. And his check, and back in the day, you get a #1 on radio. Well, it's still that way for radio, I think, to a certain degree. But you know, you're looking at roughly $1 million as it runs its course.
Right.
But now, I mean, he held up his check. He had a #1, and it was for, I think it was $1,200. He posted it on Spotify because he was so blown away with how horrible that is.
Oh yeah.
So there's no record button really per se. So the record companies can't. I mean, they're saying like, oh, Taylor Swift is 9 times platinum. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what do you CD sales? Absolutely not. Vinyl sales, maybe she sold a little bit of vinyl. So they're including these numbers of streams and identifying it as gold or platinum. And so, yeah, JT's right. There's a lot of bands. The main income is because they get out there on the road. You know, they haven't been able to figure out to steal that yet.
Right.
You know, they can perform and make money. So yeah, the industry's taking a lot of hits, and then you have these things that are happening like with Suno now and that sort of thing, and that could be a really good tool. Sunos could be a really good tool, but when you have artists that are what do they call it? There's I'm blanking out on a word. Alter ego.
Oh yeah.
Who has her alter ego, and she writes the stuff with Suno, or like the country guy, I forget his name, but it's the #1. So now radio's pushing it to #1, and it's not real. It's not a real person. It's not real music. Well, it kind of is. So they're freaking out, especially with the infringement of copyright. They're trying to figure all this out. And of course, Congress, yeah, I'm sure it's top of their list. Good luck with that.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, JT's right. I mean, it's not the same. It's all changed. I'm not bitter about it per se. I'm one of the few guys out of the band that I've try to make a living. This is all I do. I mean, that's
Yeah.
JT's a very diversified individual. He's the kind of guy that goes out and buys a truck and converts the whole truck into this coffee machine, and it's just awesome. He's like pulling up to the record labels, and they're all coming out to get this espresso lattes and stuff from JT. He's like, "Oh, you want one too? Oh, come on, yeah, I'll get you one, yeah." JT was telling me the story when the generator. There was some fire, man. He opened up the back door, and he was like the Matrix. JT went all the way back, and the flames. He said, "I guess I'm gonna blow up the parking lot,"
Yeah.
But he's been more diversified than me.
Yeah. We have to reinvent ourselves, every few years,
Right.
So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I seriously, and I play golf with Perry Richardson, a couple times a month out here, and and Stripers right now as we speak Perry took off a few days ago, and they're doing a boat tour. We call it a cruise,
Yeah.
like a metal cruise, heavy metal stuff like that. So they'll go on and they'll play in different places on the boat. Like they'll do different rooms on the boat, big room, or up in the back of the boat. They have set up a big stage, And so, but Striper, they're really like, I don't know, man. They really impress me as far as like Michael Sweet is a real marketing. He's kind of a master marketer. And to get the band out there, and then he's a like a music machine, like a
Yeah.
writing machine. He's writing solo albums and Striper albums, like guys like on fire, really cool guys too. But anyways, so yeah, but he's never home, hardly, right? So they gotta go out and tour a lot to make a living. So, you know,
Yeah, because
but
I noticed, especially last 5 years, really, that like David was saying, especially about Spotify and you got all those streaming services. And the thing that got me really looking at it was I can't remember now who it was. I can't remember if it was Jamie Rowe from Guardian or was it, well, I can't remember now who it was, but somebody had asked them about what they get from streaming, that they must be getting, you know, a pretty good check each month or whatever. And he's like, no. Yeah, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Guardian. I think it was. He said they got like 10,000 listens to the song, and he got checked for like $3 or something like that.
It's like that in the United States. And so we're clear. It's not like that in the UK. It's not like that in Japan. It's not like that in Australia. It's just here.
Wow.
And the legislation has let that slip through the cracks. And Spotify pays a lot of money, but not to the artists or the writers, to the record label. They cut a deal. Make no mistake, with Sony, Universal, they cut a deal, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But they're paying it to the record companies. And I don't even know the mechanism of how that works. I mean, I really
Yeah.
don't. And you know what? I don't think I want to know, because it's just going to make me more upset.
You see, I know when a lot of the older bands like you guys and Holy Soldier and oh my gosh, now my mind's drawing a blank. But Bloodgood, Holy Soldier, Guardian, all those bands from the
White Cross.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you. White Cross, Neon Cross, Baron Cross, all them guys. There for the longest time went on streaming. Then all at once, I noticed that it started. Some of it's still not available, but a lot of it is now. And I think that's what got me looking into it. Because, like you said, David, you don't get nothing from it.
No, not really.
I couldn't understand who bought the rights to, like, Spotify has a contract with the record labels. And I was just trying. I still haven't found out how some of these streaming services came about to get in the catalogs, especially of you guys and other bands from that era, to put it out, and you guys don't get nothing from it.
Yeah. They have to, they pay for a license for the copyright. Because, our debut record, that sound, that recording, that, piece of work is considered, a copyright. So simply say, oh, did you copyright the song of Library of Congress? Well, yeah, but that work is a copyright. So if somebody else says, I really love Crucify, and I'm going to re-record it. Technically, they can re-record it. If they alter the melody or the lyric, then they have to get a release from us, or I guess that would be Les and Paul Jackson, because those two wrote that song. Because when we were doing the Holy Soldier project, we wanted, on the second record, we wanted to do "Give Me Shelter" by the Rolling Stones, and it's like, you didn't really have to get their permission to do it. You can do that, But Steve wanted to change one of the lyrics, and that's when they said, nope, can't change any lyric. So they would have to get permission at that point. So it's in when somebody does do a cover like that, let's say they record it and sell it. Well, then of course the royalties would go to the Rolling Stone too. But it's really a new copyright at that point. So when Murr did "Give Me Shelter," we covered that Rolling Stones. That became a new copyright of that song.
Right.
But the copyright is still the original copyright. If that makes sense. The writing of it. It gets a little complicated. So does publishing. Publishing is hard to really explain. I mean, you listen closely, you get it in about 10 minutes. But it's not. Most people don't understand publishing and the way it works. So
I know I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I've tried, and it gets complicated. But one final.
I'm sorry. It kind of reminds me. You remember maybe some people remember the comic strip Dagwood.
Yep.
When Dagwood's wife wanted to go shopping, she would take like a $5 bill out of his wallet and give him the $5 bill and take his whole wallet. So that and really she'd disappear with the whole wallet, full of money. And that's kind of what's happening, what's going on with the whole music.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, I'll give you $5 and keep the rest.
I tell you, I really appreciate you guys. I don't want to take up no more of your time, but I really thank you for coming on and spending some time with me to talk about this.
Yeah, we're honored.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate you guys, and I thank you, and I thank you for what you allow the Lord to do with you through Bloodgood. It's
Yeah.
time you was with them and
Thank
the formation of it.
you.
Because you guys,
Sounds good. God
guys
bless.
made something that's always going to work. But bless you. And,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks. All right, guys, take it easy.
Bye.
All right, bye.